Ready? I believe we are live everywhere. Welcome. Welcome everybody to webinar number 39.
And we have Peter, good evening to you. We won't talk about the typo.
So it's always a time where YouTube gives me notices about stuff that I never pay attention to. All right, what's news? What's new with you, sir? I've got the glare. Look,
With me or with?
There.
We both got our glasses on. Super secret society glasses on.
This is how we mess around, guys. All right. Yeah. You went to the Rocky Mountain Train Show last weekend?
Yes. Just got back day before yesterday. Yeah. It was a thrill a minute, as it always is.
Okay. And
I have that old picture of us from the Rocky Mountain Train show that I can share.
Oh, I don't know if I know which one, maybe one you took.
Yeah.
Was that the Rocky show? The Halloween one?
I don't know. Let's verify.
Let's verify what's going on. Yep.
Yep.
Of course.
That's Rocky Mountain Train Show.
Yeah.
There we go.
Where's your picture? You're in there somewhere.
Oh, no, we don't have to worry about that.
Well, there's also this one here. Let's see. Here, this is a little bit easier. My turn to share. This is when we were, I don't know, do we announce this next webinar? Do we just let people know? This is the tail end of our 9th year. Yeah. So let's share. And this is when we had a local hobby shop out here. Unfortunately, it closed. It had been around since the early 60s, if not. And we walked in when we realized we were going to be the Marklin Digital Consultants.
Yes. We put on the appropriate attire. And that's what we got.
Yep. Our scepters, our crowns.
Yes. We were royalty for a moment.
Yes. Should we call out the finer details for all our viewers?
Sure.
Well, first of all, I think we are both wearing medals that we got off a cruise ship.
Yeah, probably.
This is a Christmas tree wrap.
A skirt, Christmas tree skirt.
Do you have the appropriate towel?
I still have that Marklin towel.
I remember Keith was laughing his butt off there.
Yeah.
This, of course, yes. This is actually a bagel.
Yes. And water bottles with LED lights in them.
So. Yeah, water bottles with LED lights. All right. Well, I'm sure we're wasting enough of our folks' times.
Yes. Good thing that we did that at the beginning. We can cut it out.
Yeah. So we got we recently had a minor update to the CS3. We're still at 252.6.
Yes.
But there was a minor update, and I think there was information going around. Some people were having issues with some boosters, and
yes,
I believe they were cleared up with this minor update.
Yeah, well, people need to set the correct power supply for the booster is what it is.
Why don't we wear Butterfly online?
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, not really sure. We would if there were any around, but we don't need it. Good evening. Anyways, yeah. So what? I know people were having some issues there that I think they were probably talking about on the forums. So just let you know if you see any of those. If you don't have your CS3 connected to a router or anything like that, there is a minor update available. And keep it update because that'll help you keep all your icon libraries current, at least with what Marklin has for newer locomotives. So, anything else we got going on? Any general news?
Not that I know.
Okay.
Excuse me. As far as I know, just our regular day-to-day is all we're doing. Just trying to get Windows
Oh,
organized here.
they call it a bow tie butterfly. Yes, that is
Ah,
appropriate.
okay.
I
Yes.
do. I think I have one on.
You had one on in that
I had
picture.
one on in your photo.
Yes.
Rick had. What were you wearing? Did you have a bow tie on?
Yes. It was a clip together.
Oh, okay. Roger still has issues with the update.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not going to have answers for it. They haven't given us any information to send out except for you need to make sure your booster has the right power supply assigned to it in the CS3.
Yeah,
That
as
is about
well
all we
as
know.
yeah. I mean, we were just run the checks, make sure your subsystem updates are all loaded up. Um, but I know one user, he had his issues. I think I haven't really heard him lately. I think he might have been resolved, but I haven't seen anything on our machines yet. So.
I don't have a booster that I'm running, so I really can't test it.
John, yes, we do have an index of all webinars and all articles. I suggest you send. It may be easier for us to keep track of us if you send us an email at digital@marklin.com, and then we can give you the file that has all the links to the webinar as well as all, at least Rick and my newsletters. So.
Yeah, and don't say you just want them all because that's a lot of work for us.
Well, the file's kind of large, and I've actually been having trouble with my email server, but it would have to go out in 3 separate emails, and we can send them to you if you actually want it. So, but yeah, send us an email.
And we can send you individual newsletters.
Yeah, if you guys have specific ones, it would probably help if you have the index to do that, though. All right.
That was John Cayley. I have your locomotive here, John. I haven't looked at it yet. So heads up.
Okay. And let's see, I'm pulling up. Should probably have the digital article open here for.
Yeah, I opened mine while you were blabbing.
Yeah. Which happens. I blab a lot.
When doesn't it happen?
All right. I'm going to let that slide. Except now that I mentioned it, it's too late to let it slide.
Yeah, we're mature.
Well, at least you are.
Yes.
Okay. Should we start? Should we start with the sleep fest?
Yes. Our my short article because we are out of topics. Pretty much the way it goes. We just are always struggling for something to write about.
Yeah, so you have something new that I guess we haven't really discussed about the
Yeah, I was avoiding it,
wireless
hoping
mobile
you would
station.
do it,
Well,
but that didn't happen. And I started getting questions, so I figured, well, I guess I got to learn it.
for the webinar, for the update of the mobile station. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of my stream of articles, so shoot, go for it.
So let's see. Wireless mobile station updating procedure. So, um, I do have people. The funny thing is, and this isn't that has nothing to do with the update, is the manual hints that you can connect your wireless mobile station to your CS2 or CS3 if you're on the same internet. Um, so I haven't been able to do that Yeah, I don't know if the office here allows me to do it. I don't know if there's any kind of permissions or whatnot. So,
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't really catch
if you listen the first time,
that.
um, connecting a wireless mobile station to your CS2 or CS3 through
Mm,
your router is the word I was looking for earlier. You're
mm.
supposed to be able to do it, but I haven't figured out how. And I'm not sure if the wireless mobile station will update at that point either, if your CS2 or CS3 is updated. Well, CS3. Let's just say CS3 because, well, I know you can connect to it. The CS2, I heard, doesn't update the mobile station to the current software. So heads up for that if you're only have a CS2. You're as far as you can go with updating your mobile stations.
Okay, so was this in regard with just updating the mobile station? Because the basically when you say connecting the mobile station to your CS3,
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. I've had a couple questions and the manual does mention that you can do it, but I haven't figured out how.
yeah,
Whether it's router configurations or permissions or whatever here at the office. I'm
um,
not entirely sure.
I think we kind of covered that. But basically, if you're to connect your mobile station to the CS3, essentially you'd still be going through the router. So
Right.
your CS3. I mean, I was just trying to clarify that you're not trying to actually connect the wireless mobile station directly to the CS3.
No, no, through your router.
Okay. Okay.
So, um so yeah, I had avoided this topic because I wanted Curtis to do it, but he didn't. We've also added, we had this before, and then I realized I didn't know how to update it. We also have the wireless mobile station version currently on our newsletter. We did have it before and then took it off because I didn't want to update mine, and that's a short story for that. Um, had somebody request us to put it back, so I did. No
Yep.
problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, all I did was connect to the connect directly to my the wireless um, router here at the office. I can connect to it, but I can't see the CS3 that's on the same connection. So anyway, I'll maybe figure that out later.
I
Um,
believe that's the setting through the CS3 because, I think since the update, the CS3 actually had some extra configurations for connecting.
oh, which
We'll look at that
reminds
in a
me.
second if you want. So you can, if do you have your CS3 connected to your screen?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because there's a number of new tabs in there. Remember, because there's a webcam, browser access, all that stuff sort of was never really fully explained to us because there's browser access, server setup. I'm trying to pull it up now. Okay, so let me share mine really quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. I'll stop.
Okay. All right. It says actually there's a way for allow multiple presenters. So in the CS3, when you go to the browser for the CS3, let me pull it up here. Trying to get to the right page. Okay. Um, these tabs down here, screen server, web server, they were a little confusing to me because it wasn't like they seemed redundant. Screen server goes to the VNC viewer, which usually we use that when we're doing these demonstrations. But then you also have a web server, restart the web server. Essentially what happens is the CS3 can act as a web server, and maybe if that's not communicating correctly, then that's why you won't see the CS3. So that's just me spitballing, maybe in a,
Okay, well, yeah, it's something we can look into, definitely, because I'd really like to be able to do that.
yeah, okay. All right, so yeah, sorry if I interrupted your flow.
No, no, I had no flow. So, now let me share again. So, what I had to do was put the IP address that the mobile station has in it. Now, this isn't the one in the manual for the mobile station where it gives you the IP address. I believe that IP address is for the WLAN box, where I didn't have the WLAN box connected to anything. So, um, and by the way, when the WLAN box is connected to the CS3, then I can control CS3 as far as locomotives and stopped, the CS3. That's the only way I've been able to do it. I haven't been able to do it without the WLAN box. Let me clear that up from our conversation before. So, um, in the mobile station, it'll give you a IP address if there's no WLAN box for it to connect to. And so all you have to do is go into the IP settings of the mobile station and it will give you an IP address. And this gave me 192.168.4.49, which is different from the manual because the manual, like I said, I believe is for the WLAN box IP address. Since my mobile station was already connected to the network here at the office, I didn't have to do any configuration. So this is all done after you've been using your mobile station, however you use it. So once you already know how to use it, you should know how to connect to your home wireless if you've already done that before. So as soon as I connected to it, I get basically what in this picture, it tells you the landing page here, that the battery status, the IP address, which I already knew because I just typed it in on my phone. Um, and then down in the lower right corner here, it has the red dot, just like we get in the CS3. So if you just follow the red dot, you click on the gear, it takes you to the next page with the settings and info and firmware update, which has the same red dot. And you click on that, and the firmware update gives you um, the blue bar down here to start update, and it'll start the update. And so I did that, and you click OK that you want to do it, and it worked for a while, and then it said there was an error. And like I said in the article, I expected this because I saw that in the manual for the wireless mobile station that the battery power has to be 50%, and I noticed it was at 31%, especially up here. The battery status 31%. So I wanted to see what it would do and what the error message would be. So I continued, and sure enough, I got the error code 1, which in the manual refers to there's not enough power, not enough battery life to do the update. So I went and got some fresh batteries, put it in, tried it again, and it did the update. Well, it gave me an error. First, it gave me an error because I believe, and I can't verify this, but I believe it's because I lost connection when I changed the batteries. So after I backed up um, in my phone to a previous page and then started the update again here, it actually worked and the whole thing updated no problem. So it was a very simple and easy and painless update for the mobile station, which is kind of nice because you don't have to plug it into a CS3 to update it, where you do with um, the other mobile stations with the wires. Now, my next thing I want to try is updating a wired mobile station from the wireless. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm going to plug them both into the same track box and see if the wireless mobile station will update a wired mobile station. But because I'm sure there's different configurations inside the wireless one, I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see.
Unless Unless there's a way for the mobile station, the wireless, to actually detect a connected wired
Right.
mobile station.
Right.
That's the only
Well,
thing that would probably
you can update one mobile station with another by plugging them both into the track box.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a theory I'm going with, and I'm going to try and see if I can update a wired one with the wireless one.
Yeah, it might work.
It might.
It's a possibility.
It might.
Now, I mean, the thing is, you can connect the mobile station to a CS3 that's connected to a router, correct? Right? That's
I don't know. I don't know if the central station will update the wireless mobile station if the WLAN is connected to it.
yeah. So the confusing thing here is because the when you connect the CS3 to a router, then that actually becomes sort of like the WLAN box,
Right.
and so having the WLAN box made it redundant. You didn't really need it. But since you're using the WLAN box to connect the mobile station to your basically a wireless router, then that's why it would be a standalone. But
No, you don't use a WLAN box if you're connecting to a router. You only use a WLAN box if you're connected to a mobile station track box or the CS3.
yeah, well, maybe I said it wrong, but I thought maybe perhaps if you use the WLAN box, it could access a wireless router.
See, and the problem I have is now that my mobile station, wireless mobile station is updated,
Hmm.
I can't test these theories
Okay,
because it's already updated. It won't do an update. So,
so it seems like the ball would be back in my court because I haven't updated mine, which is
oh,
why
good
you didn't get
job.
the article from me.
Nice. I started it.
Yeah, you're starting all these problems. Way to
Oh,
go.
let me
Way to
stop
go.
sharing here. Sorry, people.
Okay, well, it's good to we have to keep that in mind then, so we can explore that possibility.
Yeah.
So
Gary
I'm
says
glad you
to,
tackled it because I didn't do, like I said, I didn't do the update on my wireless. I don't really
yeah,
use the wireless that way. Um, I do mostly everything with the tablet. So
yeah. Well, I think you can still do it with, you can do it with the tablet too.
yeah,
Well, and I think, or the computer, but we got a note from Gary Walden in Hawaii. How's it going, Gary? That RJF trains for sending and helping with the booster problem. Gary, I'm the one that gave Robert the information to send to you people. So
hey, you're thanking the wrong person.
I know you should be thanking me, but yeah, because he was asking about it. Robert's a good dealer that we have, and he was asking about it, and I told him I don't really have any information yet. And then a newsletter from the factory came out with that, what to do, which is basically, like I said, setting the right power supply for your booster. And I sent it to him, and he sent it to all his customers that have a CS3.
What do you mean by there's a setting for a power supply on a booster?
Yeah,
Is
not
there?
in the booster, but in the CS3.
Oh, I didn't really. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
So if we look at a CS3, we'd be able to see that
in the
configuration.
TFP3.
All
Oh
right,
no, wait, I don't have a booster.
let's
I don't have a
explore
booster
this.
hooked up.
So we actually need a booster connect. Well, let's see what we see if it's at all viewable. So here's
Yeah,
VNC viewer,
you
and we're
can we
actually
can
seeing.
demonstrate it, but we don't actually have a
Is
booster
that through the
connected.
TP3?
Yeah, then scroll down,
All right.
settings, arrow down, then down, right there, power supply.
Oh, so there was a mismatch then in the power supply.
Yes,
So this is not like an automatic field. Okay.
right.
Oh, okay. So that's helpful information.
I mean, this is for the yeah, you should I don't think it's really going to matter. It's for the booster. There'll be a in your TFP3, there'll be a well down there booster. You have a booster down in the lower left.
Yeah.
Click on that. Now
Okay.
go down, settings,
Oh, there's settings here too.
there. That's where you
Let's
need to
see.
set it power supply.
But there's two places you could
No, this is for that's for the central station.
oh, that's for the central station. All right. So this
So you got to go down to the booster.
but this doesn't affect the
No,
CS3 as much.
no,
Okay, but it's the booster. Uh,
yes.
well,
Because I haven't had a booster connected to my central station, I don't have that option of a booster like you do.
yeah. Let's see if I can remember what these are. So these
Those are the switch mode.
these are switch mode power packs.
Yes, the upper ones are the transformers,
Yeah, and then
and
these are
those are probably
LTD.
European,
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah,
some European or other nationality
yeah. Okay,
power supplies.
good to know. I think we have one of our regular viewers, Sean. He was having troubles, and I guess we weren't aware of that either. So good find. Okay,
Okay,
and Roger did the power supply setting as well. Thanks for
yeah,
the
good,
verification.
good.
Hopefully that solved your problem.
Yeah, hopefully. And beyond this, we don't have any answers,
Yeah. Okay.
unfortunately.
You're experts with their moment of discovery. We
Yes.
can all be enlightened in the world. Okay, cool. Um, so what? Should we move on?
Yes, yes.
All
Moving
right.
on.
Okay, so let's go to my article since most of the information is probably better suited there. This is basically a part two, which I think may be a three-part series based on data transfer from a CS2. And it's weird, I can't find the new share button on Zoom, so I have to keep going out. Okay, so essentially, when you have a saved file that you've taken from a CS2 because you're transferring data to a CS3, essentially you do it through USB stick and you can do your restore points. This was covered in our last webinar. As you can see right now, this shows the difference in display of articles. Now the CS2 architecture, the way it worked is it had a paging system over here. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a lot more pages, as you can tell by the left and right arrows. But it would only display 16 items at each page. For some people, like if they left some areas blank, then you'd basically have to know what page these articles or your turnouts and signals are on in order to locate it. When it gets loaded into a CS3, it's a different beast because all it does is it only will display articles that have basically an established address, and therefore you basically have a mix of information, and your paging numbers are, now you can see down here there's only 3 pages of information rather than having this sort of blank page of data on the CS2. Okay. So this is actually kind of economical. Now, if you do need to see specific items, and let's actually go to my live CS3 sharing. Wow, this really is annoying. Zoom moved the new share button, where I don't see it anymore. This is currently the CS3 that I'm working on, the CS3 data, and if we have a look at our article list right here, and there's more pages because you can see as I scroll and display more items, my paging.
Why don't you go full screen there?
Yeah, okay. Full screen it is. Let me get the text box out of the way. Yeah, if you can notice, if the more I display items, you can see the paging changes, these gray buttons on there. And you can always choose to view items under the eyeball. Let's say you just need to see turnout, so you just click on the filter, hide the filter, and you can go here and you can see these are just all the turnouts. you can do multiple areas. I think he's got contacts might be best here. And so this is kind of handy in the CS3 architecture because then you don't really have a lot of wasted visual space, and it's much quicker to find items. And the next issue that we generally have, and we'll go back to the share window, is that the articles themselves actually get relabeled. Not all of them. Let's see. Let's go to the article. This one here. Okay, is that correct? No, that's a full window. Sorry, guys. This is bugging me. Should be this one. Is that just the page? Okay. So you can see the main thing that happened, because we covered turnouts and signals last week. If you have S88 contacts, they are going to be renumbered, and it looks like this, where it says S88 contact glice. And after that, there's actually a number, and you can't see it. It looks like this one here. S88 contact glice 20. This was actually 20. And this was the number that was assigned by the CS3. Now, this will not correspond to the information you have on the CS2. So essentially, you have to go through and you have to sort out what your old number and the new number is. And luckily, in my case, I used a reference on a CS2, because I was able to load the profile on my CS2, not the owner's CS2. That way I'd actually have something to work with. And you can tell from this top line here that 55 was the assigned number by the CS3, 34 was the number that was based on the CS2. So this makes it easier for me to reference the naming convention that we used on the CS2, and you can see this example. It says 52D 18 on. Essentially what that means for us, as far as writing it, it's using contact number 52 as a departure trigger, and it has one condition: if 18, the contact number 18 is on, and that would be this yellow one here. And obviously you can see the number is incorrect. And this is how it gets loaded up when you load the information on the CS3. This is exactly how it looks. So it's a good thing that we had record and this was labeled this way, because now I know that this should be contact 18, and then this one here should be contact 52. So what I then did, I had to go through all my contacts and I just renamed them so I can actually see the data at a glance, rather than having to click this open to find out what address it was, which was kind of tedious. And you can see the results here. So this is a comparison. This is before when I loaded it into the CS3, and this is basically after the reworking of the edits. So I know what numbers are which. And once I kind of sort out all the events at this point, I can kind of rename these even further if I choose to. But essentially, it just lets me know that this is the old 18 on CS2, and this is the old 52 on the CS3, which was relabeled to this in the CS3. And there is, if you think that's like an issue, it had to be that way, just because of the way the CS3 now addresses sensors as opposed to the CS2. Essentially, I think the updates to the CS3 has made the adaptation easier, and we can kind of go over that a little bit, but we're kind of going into the next page. And this next page here is, you do need to watch out for duplicated sensors in the CS2, and this is a prime example, which I actually had to see what you did here, Rick, when you loaded this up. I found out later on that these contacts 50, 51, 58, 59, 60 were not originally what I thought it was when I had a discussion with Rick, because Rick was the one that set up the design board. I realized that these are actually duplicates. 62 is here, and it's also up here in the upper left, or in the center. We got 6061, which is also down here. This is not really possible in the CS3, or if it is, it's not configured that way. So you couldn't have duplicate sensors transferred over. Instead, what happens was this is what my result was at the moment of loading. It did load up these sort of physical addresses, or whether it was in numerical. But you notice all the contacts are laid out on the track were just basically eliminated. And that's because you can't have multiples. You may have, if you worked with the CS3 layouts and you've loaded up duplicate items on different trackboard pages, you may something that has an index number and it has like these branchings off it. It just kind of tells the user that, oh, this article is used on another trackboard, which kind of is a no-no, and it gets really confusing. I don't know 100% if you can do that with a control board, because in the CS3 you actually have an option to do this layout structure where you have smooth curves, or you can make a control board out of it, in which case your diagram would look like this. And I believe it may be possible to actually have duplicated items because one is a control board and the other one is actually a trackboard page. But I'm not 100% because I didn't really set that up as a test bed, but I have seen, I do have one layout system that has both on there and it doesn't really seem to have issues. So the problem here was that I was going through the contact list, and I can show you that in two separate screens here in a second. But essentially what happened was I reconfigured these numbers on the bottom one, these here, these contacts, and you can see that they're written here. But what was funny was I clicked on one and this second one activated. So these are actually tied in pairs. Okay, and so it really kind of gets confusing because if I click on that, then I'd have to figure out what this was because it can't be 14. It's impossible in the CS3. And this pair here, this cannot be contact 15. Okay, because these are both related to contact 60 in the CS2 page. So I had to figure out what these addresses were, and I actually do have more sort of configuration to do. And let me show you what this kind of looks like in the CS3. Again, I got to go back and share the CS3 screen. And if we, this is full screen, right? So let me go here and let's just look at the S88 contacts alone. So this is the S88 contacts. And let's go to, let's see if we can find 14 here really quick. And if we look at contact 14 based on the previous page, if I click on this, you see how they both activate. So I have contact 10 and I have contact 14, which is basically both related to contact 59. And just so I kind of knew where Rick laid these things out, I had to put CC as the contact track, and T is actually the one that's on the track layout plan. So this stuff I'm going to have to sort out earlier because one of these can only be the physical track contact and the other one is basically going to be what we call a control contact. It's a software article that I can trigger the actual physical article, which is where the confusion is with the previous track plan. So let me see if I got to figure this out. Let me go back to the article. So essentially what it is these contacts down here are not, they shouldn't be actually associated with the physical S88 input. These should be. And according to what I've worked on, these are actually associated with the S88 and these are not. But so I have to reverse these because I want to have the physical contacts related to the S88. And these would be basically control contacts. And this will be covered in the part three of the article. I just wanted to sort of let people be aware that if you have duplicate contacts in a CS2, you've got extra work just to clean that up when it comes to the layout.
Yeah, the owner
Now,
of that layout wanted a quick look at what contacts were on. That's why those were down there.
that's where they were duplicated. Yeah, so this
Mhm.
can be done in control contacts. Yeah, so thanks for simplifying what I'm trying to relay. Now, part of the reason why this issue of having to rename all your contact sensors is basically because of the bus architecture of the CS3. The CS2 uses daisy chained S88s, and those are the older S88s, and the part numbers for those were 6088 and 60880. Those are the ones that use the plugs, the wire plugs. You basically had to take your S88 wires, wire them to a plug, and then plug them into the S88. And those were all interconnected using a ribbon cable, and the ribbon cable connected to the underside of a CS2. With the advent of the S88 connection points on the CS3, they deleted the ribbon cable connection and they used what I would consider a more efficient method, which is sort of allowing you to use sort of Cat5 or Ethernet cables. And you can do longer runs because you weren't restricted to like a 3 foot ribbon cable. And if you have a large layout, you can, 3 foot isn't going to get you anywhere. But then you'd have really long wires to each of your contact. So think about like if you had a 20-foot long layout, you'd have 16, 16-foot wires all over the place. And that's a real sort of spider webs of wiring. So this kind of made it easier to localize S88s to where you really needed them. So the other thing that happened was in order to have backwards compatibility, they developed the S88 link, which we often call the L88. And the L88 actually has 3 inputs, and I can show you that in hand so you can see right here. This is an L88. So up here is the ribbon cable connector for the old S88s. And then you would have sort of like these RJ45 connection points for the newer S88s. And those are 60881, 60882. One is a DC version. This is an S88 link. So part number on that 60883. It does have inputs, but then it has this buses. They have a bus system. So these allow for input of 2 newer model S88s, and this was for backward compatibility. So what happened was the whole naming sort of structure would change, and that's why it had to be all relabeled when it got imported in the CS3. To top it off, when you address these to the CS3, you'd have to indicate whether or not your input was connected to a bus or if you had a direct connection. So there's basically 3 options when you connect an S88. Is it direct from the link 88 or is it going through a bus? Now, if you don't have a link 88 and you're just using S88s, I believe it still connects through a bus, but it wouldn't be direct as the L88 because the L88 used a different plug. So there you go, a little sloppy. You see, so it uses this plug. You can use this with either CS3 or CS3 Plus. The CS3 Plus doesn't really need a link 88. You only need this if you need backward compatibility. If you have all new S88 systems, then you can get the CS3 because then it just uses an RJ45 correct connection directly. So
Plus uses the direct connection, RJ45.
yeah, the Plus uses the direct S45. So hopefully that kind of helped out. And if you kind of see where that configuration happens, let's go back to the article. And you can see there's a couple areas here. So when you connect that, first of all, in the lower right, when you're in the S88 edit screen, you can see in the lower, let's kind of go up to the eyeball left. If you're looking at your listing of your contacts, when you're in edit mode, you can see at the top there's a pull down menu and it tells you which device these contacts are connected to. In this case, it's connected to a link S881. Now the thing is, you could have multiples of these, because whatever you have ever connected to your CS3, the CS3 Connect keeps a record of what was connected to it. So you can change these devices that these are associated with. To do so, you would actually go to the lower right of that same panel, and these are your options. Controlling contacts it's a software construct. It's not actually connected to a Link 88 or GFP31. This is a software issue, which is what we would do with those doubled contacts, which again will be covered in the next article. But I also have two Link S88s which are connected. You can add or delete these if it sort of gets confusing for you. But once you get set and you set this up, especially for a Link 88 in the example that I'm talking about, then you actually want to go to one of the edit areas, and you need to assign it to whatever bus it's connected to. In the case of the Link 88, it's either going to be direct, that's the 16 inputs that I showed you earlier, or it's going to be bus 1 or 2 if you're using new S88s, or it can be bus 3, which is basically any backward compatibility S88, 6088 or 60880. And then the button matrix, I really haven't messed around because button matrices just can be overwhelming. It's like if you have a 10 by 10 grid, each one of those is going to have a button matrix to it. So finally, when it comes to actually getting these properly configured in the S88, you can see one example here. I have the physical 52 contact for the CS3. This would be the reference for the CS2. And I would be connecting it to bus 3 because everything that he has will be going through the Link S88 using bus 3 because he's got old modules. He doesn't have any new ones. And then you need to properly configure this to which box it is. If he has 3 S88s, then I need to make sure the module is corresponding and the contact number is corresponding. And this is basically, you only need this if you're going to change it out to another one of these inputs. But so mostly once you set this correct, where it matches this top left one, or actually I don't think it'll match, you just need to make sure that where you're using it needs to be correctly displayed up here in the top left. And I can show you like a full screen of that one just so you kind of have your bearings straight. Then everything should kind of be configured correctly. So let me just kind of do that. So back to this. And if we go into edit mode for the article list, I believe that's where we're going. So it's a little bit overwhelming. So link S881, that's our view screen. And you can see this is generally the layout that you would have whenever you're trying to edit your S88s. Is it direct? See, right now, I haven't really set this up. So everything's listed under either direct for the earlier ones. So funny thing is, anything up to like 16 is connected to direct, right? But if I go to 17, it goes to a button matrix. And so I would have to actually check my CS2 and then just kind of reassign everything to bus 3, set the module in contact. So when I reload this profile into the client's machine, then hopefully everything is going to work right. So again, more on that. And that basically is enough confusion for you guys. So, and I think that's it.
You got that right.
Yeah. It's fast. It's a quick talk. I know it, even just trying to be overwhelming just to have questions, but we do have questions. So Roger's done with its updates. We have just tested an MS2 WLAN with the CS2, both via Wi-Fi router and through the WLAN box. System works as good with the CS2 or CS3. So thanks for testing and the verification on that. CS2 updated the 60117 box. That's the WLAN box. question on the backward compatibility bus connected to the SAD. What would cause contact tracks to flicker on the screen? All right. Couple of things that I would think of. One, either you don't have a single ground connected. Like it's maybe possible that your ground's not connected. That is this. Funny how I must have just tried to tidy up the wires. That's this connection right here, the upside down T. That's basically a rail. And you need to, like, if you have a string of them connected and you have multiple of these connected, it's kind of redundant. You really don't need it. So we don't know if there's going to actually be communication issues or you don't actually have it connected. That's one. Depending on why it's flickering, it may also be, like if you have a contact track that's dirty and, wheels dirty, then, you're not getting a steady stream. There's a number of reasons why you might have it. So let's say, happen to have a track here. So let's say you have this kind of section. This is a contact track. And this is your car here. You see, I'm just barely straddling, right? If you have a contact track that's shorter than this distance, you're going to have problems because it's going to contact here, turn off, and contact here. And so it's all about cleanliness or dirty. Now, let's say you had just something with four wheels, like a small car. That creates tension when you pull on the couplers, and you get basically what I call an uneven table effect. That tension could lift off one of those wheels and create a bigger gap between wheels for a clean contact if your contact tracks. So yeah, there's a number of things that can cause a flicker. I can't identify it cleanly. It's just kind of goes on a case by case basis on what you're trying to run over it. I've
I'm
had
gonna
one,
go with I'm gonna go with it. It's a loose nut.
yeah. I had a TEE VT11.5, and I had one section that was always giving me problems, and it was just basically because of that tension pull. Put some trains away. So. Let me pull out a car here. Easier kind of showing this. Unfortunately, I can only do with. I only have one car. Two makes it a little easier. It's a Christmas car. Still sitting out. So if you can see this example here, if you have basically two axles like that, and let's say you have a car back here and you're basically having tension on it, if there's something uneven in your track and it basically lifts up that one wheel, let's say like that, then your contact track, if it was set for this long, is now extended because of the pull, might be lifting that up, or you've got it on an incline. Then if the next set of wheel sets over here, then this length could cause that gap to turn off and on. So this is usually like if you're referring to what I call a double triggering event, where you want it to only trigger once, but it's triggering twice and it's causing weird things to happen on your layout, you do want to be aware of that. How smooth is your transition point? Are you dealing with something that only has 4 contact points? Because it's the same, like I said, it's the same concept as if you had an uneven chair or table. It's going to wobble if one of these wheels is off. And the other thing is, check your insulators. If your insulator has some damage on it or it's maybe slightly falling off, yeah, you can get multiple triggering off of that. So hopefully you found that entertaining. So cool. Anything else? I think that covers that, right?
Yeah, and I did the article couple 3 or 4 newsletters back that covered the rise and the grade for a layout according to the manual, or the catalog, which I learned a few things, that it's not just a straight from 0 degrees to 5 degrees incline. It's gradual. It's a slope, and it's at the top. It does the opposite. It slopes down slowly. It will get to 5 degrees. I think it is 5%. I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
in the center if it's long enough. So it was interesting, interesting thing to learn.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. 2024.
Are you seeing something we're not?
No, I was my mind was going off to the newsletter index. That's not. I was going to share that and post it in the chat for our viewers, but it looks like I have the 2024 up there.
Oh, okay.
I guess we didn't put it in the drive. So
I think I do have it. I can put it in the drive.
yeah,
Yeah, I have it up to 2024.
24. I wonder if I didn't rename it. I wonder if it's incorrect. So yeah, let me see if I can get that up there. What else can we? Is there anything else going on? Digital articles. Oh, up to 24. It covers the 2024 year. Yeah. Um, let's see. Let me check that file again. Yeah, this should be correct. It goes up to the, what does it say?
It goes up to 2024 because the
Well, it should be
2025 isn't done yet.
220.
We don't
Yeah.
update it every month. We update it at the end of the year.
Okay. Yeah, this one doesn't look to be current. Let me check my files. Okay. Yeah, let me post the update in there.
Well,
I'll put it in the drive, folks. I'll give you a link. Let's see. Let me delete this one because this way it just get confusing. So that'll be moved to trash.
one thing while he's doing that is the new large manual in English is out for the CS3, which is all the good information that it had before, but it's from software version 2.5. So um, most of it is the same as before, but it has updated sections for the new software. I have not read it yet to see what the difference is, because I have basically have not had time. But I'm curious. I did flip through it, and a lot of the information doesn't change because it is a CS3, and excuse me, the manual tells you how to uh, set up S88s and enter locomotives and edit and all that good stuff, just like it always has. So all that information is still in there. Just a little bit of newer information for the new software is in there also. So it doesn't actually have a section where this is the new stuff for this software version. It's just the manual, and it's written with that software version in mind for the new stuff. So run down to your library, check it out.
Okay, folks. If you go to the webinar chat, the link for the article index is in there, so you can pull that down, John. And then if there's anything specific you need to see, just send us an email. So. On occasion, I'm still getting engines shooting off or whistles blowing on startup. I know this has come up before. Is there any new ideas? No, I just think it's just sort of a normal startup procedure.
And are these I know we asked this before, but are these Marklin decoders that you're in these locomotives? That's what I'm wondering, because I know a foreign decoder can have kind of a little bit errors. Oh, Marklin, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all part of a weird. They're all Marklin. Yeah, it's a weird boot up procedure.
are they older locomotives, or are they uh MSD3 decoders in them?
So are you thinking like a firmware update?
Possibly. Um, but if they're older decoders, they may not understand. If they're old dip switch decoders that have sound, maybe there's some
It's
kind of it doesn't understand the MFX protocol or something like that.
yeah, I've always had a hard
Mix of
time.
old and new, oldest being 5 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I've always had a hard time trying to explain partially what's going on there. It's sort of like a crossover between an analog issue and a digital issue. Essentially, think about this: if you had an analog layout and you basically had your speed, your throttle up a little bit, and you powered it up, well, the train's going to go right away, right, until you turn it down. So it's receiving that first command to turn your speed down. Well, in sort of the digital world, all this information gets stored on the decoder, because the command was sent through a CS3, so it's stored on the decoder on the locomotive. So when you boot up, the locomotive itself may have speed set, or even though I know you didn't set the speed, or it doesn't have a whistle on, well, it just kind of the decoder itself doesn't know what the settings were. It just kind of references what maybe it detects, and it's not a perfect world. It's just that decoder might have this bit setting wrong, and it doesn't know what to do with it until it actually receives maybe some command from the CS3, which may be like a reset everything. Because there is a setting on the CS3 that basically says, um, you know, run everything as it was when you turn off the CS3. So there's that little word cycling, and your CS3 doesn't turn everything on at once. When you boot up your CS3, it's basically cycling through your layout looking for like every digital decoder that's on the layout, and it's scanning for any new items that you put on the track. So there's that timing delay on what happens. So this whole boot up when you get whistles or lurches, I think it has something to do with the timing of the load cycle. It's just, even when your layout's on for a while, your CS3 is constantly sending out search commands for any new changes. And that's just the natural part of the cycle. So, is there a new fix? No, I don't really think there's anything they that they really know what to address. Is there a cache to clear periodically? No, I don't think there's any cache clearing,
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be, like you said, a decoder firmware update might fix it.
Yeah.
And you're probably up to date on your software version of the CS3, I'm assuming, because I know we talked about this before, and I'm sure we covered it, saying you should do that. So, uh, yeah, hard to say, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
does it,
it's a it's a
if
long
you're, pardon me?
it's a long running issue.
Yeah, I mean, something comes to mind if you really wanted to test it out, does it do it on the programming track also? You know, does it do it on another layout, so to say? We can't really narrow it down until we start separating components.
Yeah, and I've just gotten used to ignoring it. I mean, it doesn't happen to all my locomotives, maybe once in a while. So it's yeah, it may be annoying, but it is it doesn't last forever. I mean, it's like I know in my case sometimes if you let's say park your trains on a braking module,
Yeah.
it actually goes from a braking module works in a weird way. It doesn't really, it actually cuts off the locomotive from actual control. And
Hmm.
what slows down the locomotive is it switches to like a DC circuit where it's draining a capacitor, and it will not accept any commands from your CS3 while it's parked in a braking module. So if you shut down your system and your train's on a braking module and you turn it on, well, essentially what happens is the CS3 might default or reset what your locomotive setting was, but it didn't reset what the decoder setting was on the actual locomotive because it's sat in a braking module. So when you turn off your, like, say you release the brake module, the locomotive is probably just going to turn on, and it may or may not have the lights on. It's really kind of inconsistent, and it won't correct for itself unless you actually send a command from the CS3 to that locomotive. So, all right. Marklin. Okay, let me send you the link on the chat. So there's like basically the link didn't go to our YouTube users. So let me post that in there, guys. Sorry about that. It's a different. It was a different issue because we sent it on the Zoom window. So there you go. There's the link. Yeah, sometimes it takes, we got a comment, sometimes it takes a while to find the loco that is making the unexpected noise if you have them all in a parking artery. Exactly, yeah. When you have a lot of locomotives, all that random stuff happens. So, 749, 74491 and the 74492 are the same items. I believe they are, if I remember what those parts are. So let's see. They do have, I know we have a couple items that had numbers, and the only thing that changed was, well, not the only thing, I'm sure there were hardware differences, but the main thing that changed was the case was a different color. They went from gray to black, but they added a different number.
For
7449.
which?
He's actually talking about a 7449. Yeah, these are the turnout mechanisms. 74491 and
Yeah,
7492.
from
What you
what I
have a different?
understand, they switched to a different manufacturer, so they gave it a new number, even though it's identical.
Okay. All right.
We
Good to
got a
know.
comment from John Cayley. Talk if you want to read that. My
Uh,
my answer would be, John, we're not Apple technical support. You'll have to call some other genius.
yeah, I'm trying to find. Oh, here you go. John, your new iPad, my chat is disabled. How can I turn chat on? On your iPad? I really know. I don't know. I don't really. How many?
You see, it doesn't say Apple here, John. And I know John, I'm just giving him a hard time. He's a member of my ETE chapter.
Yeah, honestly, John, I don't really know how the chat would be enabled when you're viewing through an iPad. So yeah, I can't answer that. How many ways are there to search loc icons? Looking for an icon that is similar to a locomotive, not exactly when nothing shows up.
Well, you can put your own icons into the CS3 easily.
Yeah, let's see what we
In fact, that might be a good article to do. I think I covered it.
yeah, we've covered it before. Well, I know we definitely did it on the CS2, but I'm sure you've covered it on the
I
CS3.
think I did on the CS3.
Let's
Check
see
the
what.
index.
Yeah,
Can somebody check the index and see if I covered that?
yeah. Oh, not me though. All right, let's get out of this. Let's get out of this window. Let's actually see what edit locomotives, because this is the other thing. When I loaded up his information, not very few of his icons showed up. Let me reduce this so you can
Oh,
see.
was this from his?
This is from Andreas's layout.
Okay.
You see, there's no icons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's got a lot of old locomotives. So essentially, what I think is you're asking, how can you search for loci? And there's
There's two ways. If you can put a item number in that file name.
yeah, that's the easiest way. That if you have a part number, to look that up. But then again, there were so many. There can be a lot of specialized locomotives
Yes.
that you're not going to have.
They have to be digital or at least delta to be in there.
Yeah. So yeah, you can either, mostly it's just, you can see part number. I think when we had icons, you and I, Rick, I found it was more efficient to use part numbers rather than trying to go off of the box
Yes.
name for the locomotive,
Yes.
because it was just
Easier to find them.
it's so much easier to know if you need a specialized icon. The part number is easier to search. Now, if you guys threw away all your boxes, well, that's on you. So,
That's a Google search right there, and you should know how to do that already.
yeah, so you can see, there's the search is the way to go, and just kind of be aware that when you click on this loci icons, there is a separate folder for LGB locomotives, and you can click on that, and it's kind of a weird sort of structure. You figure maybe they'd have a different icon. So there are LGB locomotives, and as Rick mentioned, you can load up images. Is that a drag and drop thing? Can you just drag an icon and put it in here?
It's through the web server.
Oh, it's through the web server. Is that
It might
okay?
it might not be. I think it might be in just the login with the
Oh yeah,
IP.
yeah, yeah. You can do it through the web server. I remember that's what you talked about.
Yeah. But
Um,
just the IP login, not
yeah.
through the screen server.
And guys, just be aware. I mean, because I hate to say it this way, it's kind of a computer user answer. It'd be like you're talking to Apple tech support. But let's say you take a picture with your cell phone, right? Your cell phone, modern cell phones, can have a 10 megapixel picture, and you don't want to load a 10 megapixel picture into this, okay? You're just going to suck up all your internal memory. So you got to find a way to optimize it and reduce the size, because what's not shown here is like it won't give me the actual hardware size, the basically how many bits it's sucking up in your memory. So, you can kind of tell here this larger picture looks fuzzy. Let's see what it looks like if I assign it. See, this is just, what this tells me is this may actually be a CS2 icon, Rick,
Yeah.
because they're only like 8K in size and the resolution's really low. This is why it's so fuzzy.
But it's going to be so small, you're not going to notice.
Yeah, because it's so, but like if, well, okay, so let's kind of get out of this edit mode, right? So we're gonna click OK. So, yeah, skip that. It looks okay because this is the icon that normally you're gonna see. But like in the newer locomotives, if you, I don't know if we're gonna be able to find one. The Adler's fairly new, right?
No, they haven't done an Adler in a while.
Oh, that's 2005. That's right. Yeah. So let's find. Maybe I wonder if it imported all those icons.
There, right there, the that one.
This is the rail.
See, now look how clear that is.
So this is pretty clear, right? It's just a larger file size. So you guys might not be aware of all this stuff because you may not be computer geeks like I am. You know, resolution, file size makes a big difference. I remember back in the day when Rick and I, we had the genius thought, well, let's take pictures of all our locomotives so we can load our custom icons. Well, Rick, because he was running on my layout most of the time, because he didn't have a layout, he had the genius idea to load up all his icons. And I got to tell you, it slowed the hell out of my CS2. It took forever for the thing to boot because it was reading every icon. And we didn't realize that there were tags in there that made the files twice as big as they needed to be. So just kind of be aware, just because you have these pictures, maybe you don't want to load them all up. I think the CS3 is probably more optimal than it is the CS2, but it was a killer because it'd be like 15 minutes waiting for my CS2 to boot off to shut down.
And then he blames me.
Yeah, well, of course, because they were all your locomotives. I didn't even load all mine up there.
Well, what you can do also on the CS3 is if you click on that icon again,
This one here, okay.
if you had a drive in your CS3, it
Like
would
a
show up
USB
on the
stick.
left, and you
Like
can
a
have your
USB stick.
icons in that.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay. So if he's, I think what he's referring to, if we stuck a USB stick in the back of our
Well,
CS3.
no, not the USB. It's the other drive, the compact flash, is it?
Well, an external drive, right? I
External
think
drive, yeah.
it would slow up. It would show up under the CS3, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have another listing where it says CS3. You'd have another listing like USB or something like that, and then it would have basically probably similar icon structures. So it might say USB here, and it might say loc icons here, and then you'd have another listing. So yeah, if you wanted to have an external drive, that'd be good. So uh, anyway, so yeah, that's pretty funny. That I haven't gone through trying to check his icons, but they might have just transferred over, and this is why they're just so grainy. That'll be fun.
Um, yeah, it's hard to say without taking a few minutes and doing that.
Look for more time on this, Andreas. All right.
It's
Let's
going to be
see.
your fault if they don't all load.
It's already my. It's yeah. It's already a headache. So, but it has to be done. All right. A couple more questions. How many ways are there to search? Oh, wait, no, that's the one we just answered, more or
Yeah.
less. Well, that's just one. You have actually this choice. You can search by name. What did we find out last webinar? We found out that when you have running local, so this sort list
You go by
is,
history.
yeah, it's not really 100%. I've done the history thing, and it wouldn't show like. I guess it maybe it only works on the last ones where you actually controlled sent a command to.
Right.
Um, but if you want, like, if you don't know which one that is, you're toying around with it. We found out is if you click where it says locomotives, and you actually click here where it says in motion, anything that had a speed setting on it, it will display, which is great. I like that feature so much because you really only want to have immediate control of trains that are in motion.
Right. And see now that's kind of the thing that the SoCal ETE chapter, it's kind of the reason they're sticking with their CS2 is because with that app you can assign which locomotives are in which window.
Yeah. John, you got that?
You
You
got
see
that,
what we're
John?
talking about? Right.
So
Now, this I think will only apply with locomotives that have a speed setting because you can see there's a standing setting.
right.
And I think that means that it's not like if you have a train sitting in a brake module, that train generally has a speed setting on it anyways. But if it's with a zero speed setting, that's what the standing would be
Well,
for.
it's going to assume that every locomotive in your inventory is standing except
Yeah.
for the ones that have throttle on it.
Yeah. It's funny how there's a miscellaneous here. It's like, yeah, I just want you to pick random locomotives for me.
Well, no, those aren't really locomotives. Click on it and
Oh
they
yeah,
move
yeah, yeah,
away.
yeah. Let's look at it. Goliath.
Some
Well,
of
no,
them are, but
the
that
Zeppelin.
may be how they're in the central station. They may be entered with the data being wrong.
Okay. Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, that's something to explore. Electric, diesel, steam. Yeah. So I find this is going to be the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
John, paying attention, John. All right. Okay. Let's see. Get rid of that one. There's a comment. Somebody likes the Penzi
Yeah,
look over
and
your shoulder.
you're sharing your screen still,
Stop
so.
sharing it. So we're back to
But
you.
he's talking about the Pennsylvania
The,
ES44AC, which
that's the bottom one. Yeah, the brown
at the
one.
bottom there. And that locomotive does look wonderful in that brown. I didn't think I was going to like it, but it looks sharp.
Uh, okay, regarding the icons, we do have a recommendation from Gary Walden. He uses a thing called coolutils.com. I can type that in there in the host and panels. I'll type it in both the webinar. Cool utils. We're just plugging everybody.
So Paul, the way he said he likes the Pennsylvania, and now he says there's no icon for it. Just wait for the update. It'll
Yeah,
be there.
there you go. There's a couple links for you guys. Where are we if we don't have any information to give these folks?
Yes, we'll make it up and say it's real.
Holding my cup backwards.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Marklin.
Product placement right there. Tangy.
Tangy. It's water.
Got a comment that somebody is loving Curtis's new glasses.
Oh yeah, thanks. I just was a little blurry today. Still is so. All right, what else? Okay, so that covers articles and rambling. Um, should we do the unboxing?
Yeah, do your unboxing.
Okay, so I did receive a box. What did I think it was maybe
Probably last week, late last week.
wait.
I saw it
It
go
had the
out.
weight. It had the weight of 3 locomotives, and I was correct. We'll start with the short one. And this is an elephant, 5.6 elephant. You guys see the icon there?
Yep.
Take a
The new
snapshot
elephant.
because I know you want that part number.
39253.
And we're not going to do the full.
Yeah, you keep trying to do this, but you can never see it.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain. So there you go. We'll just kind of show the end product.
There you go.
That is, I think it had a unique coloring to it.
Yeah, it did.
This is always going to be terrifying. What do you think? Should we reveal the main end sticker?
No, don't do that. Show the other end.
Don't blame me, guys, if there's anything wrong with it. No, it should be fine. Maybe they only make the plastics. All right, let's see. What else is next? I would imagine these are going to be paired in some ways. Ooh, okay, there you go. Big reveal there.
Yep. That's what I have here also.
And this is for 6. Let's look at the other one, which is probably, yep, pairing. It's the other side.
Yep. The green version. Nice.
Yeah. It's going to be nice.
Yeah.
It's weird how we, all about displaying the U.S. Locomotives. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I have. Yep. Let's see. I
That's,
still like our shirts that we can't buy. This is actually a vest that we got.
Vest, yeah.
And unfortunately, it feels like maybe I'm getting a little too fat for it.
Well, the European
They're skinnier
sizes are a little small. So if you take an extra large, you should get an XX large. And these were, yeah, a little bit. They work if you don't zip them up. A little tight if you do zip them up.
Yes, and it's got a little white fleece of the thin lining.
Well, a couple things we have in the warehouse. Not only do we have those items that you have, but we do have the new snowplow.
Ooh, what color is that?
Green.
Is it the green one? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Which I believe I have one of these coming to me. But what's really cool, and we had these at Denver for your BNSF, is the boxcar set. I'm sorry, the hopper car set.
Yeah, I got mine last time.
If you can see that number, you did get those, Eddie?
Yeah, I got
BNSF
sets because there's the UP set and the BNSF set.
Did you get the Tricks version?
No.
6 more?
No. Yeah, I'm already too overloaded. I'm running out of space.
I know. Yeah,
the hopper cars look awesome, man. But
and I don't know if I showed this last time because I wasn't going to go back and look, but we have the black Flying Scotsman.
Yes.
It's almost like a dark gray black thing. I think I did show it, but it's pretty cool. And the dual power locomotive in a different paint scheme from the Marklin one. We've seen the Marklin one, but the dual power and different paint scheme.
I think I just put mine away. I like that. I like that locomotive. So,
So that's just a few things we got in the warehouse. We didn't get too much.
I did have a question though. I think because I was out of sync and not really paying attention to all the new stuff that was going out there. Did I see a Shay?
Yes. Yeah, Shay's gonna be coming out. So I don't remember when.
Did you order that?
I'm on the fence.
I was thinking, should I order that?
I mean, it's really cool, and I'd really like to have it. Um, it's an East Coast road. Not that that matters to me, but um, I'm just not gonna have anything to run it with. Um, so to say. I mean, it comes. You can get some log cars, and the reason they went with this is because it's a standard gauge Shay, so it's the standard, railroad track HO, where most shays are narrow gauge. So this is actually a four truck shay. It's got a longer tender, so it's got the two trucks on the tender rather than one for a three truck shay. So, I'd like to get it, and I probably should, and I might plan delivery in May. I don't know.
Yeah, I missed that when it was announced. I was thinking too, I should probably get that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's beautiful, and I'm sure I'll get to work on, one or more of them.
So
I
that
don't know
part
if I'm
number
looking
again,
forward.
38700.
Yeah.
Yes. Order it now.
Order now so I don't have to.
Buy now. Buy now. Yeah, if you buy now, pay later. Let's see. All right. Cool. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other news. Um, yeah.
Like what's there do you have any shows coming up?
Well, we just did Rocky Mountain
Yeah.
and no, Garden Railway show. I'm not going to that.
Where's that at this year?
Sacramento. How about you?
And I'm probably gonna end up driving out there for that one then.
Maybe, I don't know. It might just be a
We go.
tabletop show. So
Okay. And then I so Garden, and then it would probably be Eurowest, right, in July.
yeah, Eurowest and then NMRA.
Okay, so that's down the line, guys. All right. Then are there anything, comments, questions you guys have for us before we start to wrap it up?
Is there a way to reset a 60760 decoder? Well, there's nothing to reset really, unless you don't know the address, but the central station should be able to find the address
Didn't have
usually.
wasn't there a factory reset number on that?
I think you might be able to do CV8 at a value of 8.
Yeah,
That might work.
I think there was one.
It would have to be on the programming track.
Yeah. It's always
Um,
hard when you have something like an older product like that and just can't do anything with it but throw it away. But I
let me
think you
see.
can reset the.
Let me find out that answer for sure real quick.
I don't know why it stuck in my mind that there was something you would set for 11, but CV8 was. I know
So
that's.
that's the wrong movie, man.
Sorry. Let's see.
Here we go. Yeah, CV8 to a value of 8 will reset it.
Yeah. Put that on your programming track, and that way, hopefully, you can access the CVs.
Yeah, not your main track because you'll reset all your locomotives.
Then don't call us. That would be an adventure for everybody.
I did that one year at Eurowest, remember? I had like 5 locomotives running on the test layout, and I went to go change one address. And I'll be really smart and plug the layout into the programming track, and they were There were like three of them that were FX decoders and changed them all to the same address.
Nice, nice, kind of genius.
That's right.
You gave me a hard time. I was, yeah, that just reminded me of the time we had the when we had the Batman car.
Yeah,
So
that was
uh,
a lot of fun.
yeah, so we were at a show one time, and you guys might not be aware of this. So there was the DC Comics line of startup stuff for kids, and there was like a coal hopper. It was like a Kohler design.
Yeah, it was a gondola.
It had the Batman sort of spotlight.
Yeah, it had the logo on it. And it
And,
lit up in the car.
and Rick and I were at a train show, and we'd have this train stop when we'd turn on the light, and we'd go up by the car, and we'd look up at the ceiling to see the spotlight, just to see who else would look up there. There's nothing there.
And it would work every time.
It was just us having fun.
I got seven people at once. That was the record.
Yeah, that was great. That was awesome. So, uh, yep. Anyways, yeah. So nothing else for you guys. Good. I'm glad you all made it, and sticking with us through this program. And I think we're about done. Yeah.
Yeah, if we don't have any other questions or comments or funny stories, we can be done.
All right. Give them 10 seconds to type something in. Otherwise, it's
Otherwise, we're cutting
going.
out.
Okay. I
Right.
think we will wrap it here, guys. Thanks for joining in. It was a lot of fun, or at least Rick and I had fun. I don't know.
Yeah, it was fun for us.
So,
That's the important thing.
and just so, and thanks to our viewers on the YouTube. I know we don't always get to corresponding with those folks. Again, to reach out to us, digital@marklin.com. And you can always sign up for our digital club if you're not already a member, which I believe you all are.
Yeah, it's easy. You just go to the Marklin website, marklin.com. Go to clubs, then to digital club, sign up there. It's free. You won't get any spam. You'll just get a newsletter from us and an occasional email when we're doing a webinar.
Yep. Anytime you need an app, just pull out our newsletter and read my article.
There you go.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Recommended by Rick.
Yes.
All right, folks.
All right.
We will see you in another couple of months.
Couple
And
months, yeah. 2 months. or
up
so.
until then, everybody take care and, send us drop us a line.
Yeah.
And we got a couple more comments probably welcoming us back to work. Yeah, Rick. Rick needs to go back to work.
Yeah, Gary.
I need to I actually do have to get something set up. So, okay. Yeah, I think that is me in the live stream. Take care, guys, and we'll see you in a couple.